Hey everybody, today's project I'm making a jig for grinding plunge lines on knife blades. So this is for knife making, and started out with a piece of W1 flat bar, cut out a 4.5 inch piece, two 4.5 inch pieces. And once I had the pieces cut and cleaned up a little bit, I tack welded both ends just to keep the pieces together while I drilled the holes and made sure the holes would line up. So once I had the tack welds on, I laid out the lines, marked where I wanted to drill my holes. The two machine screws I'm using are just some screws I had lying around in the shop. So once I had the holes marked out, I marked them with the center punch, went over the drill press, and drilled pilot holes with a 1/16 inch drill bit. And once I had the pilot holes drilled, I went up and drilled out the larger hole size for the pins and for the bolts. Now that I had the holes drilled, I was ready to tap and get threads on one side of the jig. I actually broke the tack welds when the tap went through the first side and started to go through the other side, which is okay. I really only wanted to tap one side anyway. Once that was done, drilled out the hole for the bolt to slide through on the other side, and time to grind it a little bit and smooth out the edges. Here I'm just checking the fit on everything, making sure everything fits and lines up the way it should before I go in to do the heat treat. Heat treated it at 1450 F, let it soak for 15 minutes, and then quenched in Parks 50. After I quenched it, I tempered it in the oven at 350 for an hour. And just cleaning the scale off at this point after the heat treatment. The material I'm using for the pins is also W1 drill rod, 17/64. Really just used probably about 2 inches of this rod for this project. Total material costs on this project's easily less than $20. Much cheaper than buying one of these. I've seen some of these go for up to $200. And of course, you know, for this application, I don't really need titanium or carbide. When I'm making these plunge lines on the knife blade, the sanding belt, it shouldn't really be in contact with this guide, just the edge of the belt. So it shouldn't wear that much, and if it does, I can grind it down flat probably multiple times before this tool reaches the end of its life. I got the bolt holes a little bit close to the pinholes, and I was worried about messing up my threads when I welded the pins on, so I put a little scrap piece of leaf spring on there to protect my threaded hole while I was welding the pins to that one side there. So now that I had the pins welded in, it was time to grind the welds down so I'd have a flush, smooth surface on that one piece. And I went ahead and assembled the whole jig and sanded the edge, the working edge, or working edges there, to try and get them as smooth and even as possible. And I'm just cleaning it up. So that's it, the jig's built. Now I'm just testing it out on a scrap knife blade that I had. It's actually a piece of an old bandsaw, and just wanted to test it out on the sander. So I think the jig turned out okay for my purposes. Like I said, it's not really meant to be filing guide as much as it is a guide for grinding the plunge lines. So I think it's going to work for that purpose. Pretty easy build, a few hours worth of work, and like I said, probably less than $20 in material. And I think it's going to do the job. Thanks for watching. Hope you liked the video, and we'll see you next time.